Hey, so today I wanted to just pop on. I had a question come up, and somebody had asked me, how do you analyze properties? How do you find out which ones are the best ones to kind of dive deeper into and calculate the numbers on? So today I'm going to share that with you, what I use, a rule of thumb that when I look at the purchase price and I look at the rent coming in, I can calculate if the property is actually worth diving deep into. So I'm going to share that with you right now. So stick with me. It's Nick Doherty here from Forest Hill Real Estate. So let's get into it. So I wanted to share this with you. It's a rule of thumb. It's called the 1% rule. And I learned about the 1% rule many years ago. I was speaking with a gentleman named Jeremy Roll, who's got an investment he's got a company that he does investments with, and a lot of passive investments, passive income coming in. So he's an investor. And I was asking him how he calculates the numbers on rental properties to know if they're going to cash flow. And he told me, have you heard of something called the 1% rule? And at the time, I hadn't heard anything about this 1% rule, but essentially he uses it to analyze properties very quickly. So let's say you're purchasing a property at $400,000. 1% of that for the monthly rent coming in would be $4,000. Now I thought, hey, that's not going to work in Canada, especially in the market that we're in, around the GTA. That's not going to happen. So what I've done, or what I go by, is doing 0.5% to 1%. So if it's in between that range, it's worth another look. Because as you start diving deeper into your real estate investments, you're going to start looking at a lot of properties. So you want to have something in the back of your mind where you can filter out, hey, no, this property's not worth looking into further, or this property is worth looking into more. So you're going to want to have something like this. So for me, it's 0.5% to 1% of the purchase price. So let's say you're purchasing a property for $400,000 and the rent coming in is $2,000. Then that would be worth another look. You're going to dive deep, you're going to get your spreadsheet out, you're going to calculate the numbers, you're going to look at the utilities, you're going to look at the vacancy rate in the area like we talked about in other videos, and you're going to calculate whether this property is actually worth pursuing more. So this 1% rule, or what I use is 0.5% to 1%, because of the market that we're in, our home prices are a little bit higher than they are in the States. You can utilize this to filter through properties very, very quickly, and you don't waste your time analyzing properties that don't make sense to spend your time on. So I trust that this 1% rule will save you a lot of time, and it'll help you filter out which investments are good investments and which investments are not necessarily good investments. Now, next time your realtor phones you up and says, hey, I have a great investment property for you, this will be a way for you to filter out whether this is a good investment or not. You'll be able to look at the purchase price, you'll be able to look at the monthly rent coming in, and you'll be able to tell whether this investment property is worth pursuing or not. So utilize this 1% rule to save your time and calculate whether a property that comes to you is a good investment or not. So stay tuned next week, and we're going to get into another video on real estate investing. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and I can't wait to see you on the next video with another tip or trick on real estate investing.